Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Annie McLymore. I am a board member of Trophy of Life, where Portia Wheatley is the visionary for that nonprofit organization. Before we get started, I want to let everyone know that we have a YouTube channel. So please go there and subscribe, share this broadcast right now, go like it, tell everybody, get on. We are broadcasting the first Monday of every month for this year. So please log on, share, subscribe. Also, if you want to make a donation to the organization, it is a 501(c)(3) organization. So you can go to Trophy of Life's website, www.trophyoflife.org, and make a donation, or if you would like to volunteer or become a partner with us. You'll find all that information there. So thank you, and we're going to get started. So today, we're going to be talking about purpose. With Trophy of Life, we render hope and encouragement to those that have happened to fall into the unfortunate circumstances, hard times. We are here to render hope and encouragement to them, to let them know that there is a way out of their situation, and that they have hope. They have others encouraging them, so that when they do overcome that circumstance, then they can encourage someone else who may be going through something similar or worse. So we've been doing that. And today we're talking about purpose, being the first partaker of purpose, your why. And I have my friend Rodney Washington here joining me today. He is a friend. He is also family as well. But I truly enjoy talking with Rodney. He is a therapist. He is a sponsor, and he is being sponsored. And anytime, I speak with Rodney, he always has an encouraging word, but he's also very real with you. And I don't know if it's the therapist side or just him. However, you walk away, taking introspection of yourself, and you're saying to yourself, like, wow, okay, well, what can I do to see or bring out the better version of myself? And after I finish talking to Rodney, I'm always trying to figure it out. I enjoy speaking with him. So Rodney, thank you for joining us this afternoon. And we can start out by you sharing with us who you are and what is your purpose? Why are you here on this earth?
That is a good leading question. Who am I? That is great. I am an individual who is still in the process of self-discovery, always discovering more and more about myself. I can say that I am a Black man. I can say that I'm a man of faith. Mm-hmm. I can say that I am a man of retrospect. I can say that I am a man that believes fundamentally in being kind to people, loving God, serving people, loving God. That's kind of like the type of person I am. I can say that I'm a family-oriented man. Mm-hmm. I can say that I am a man who also believes that he can take a compliment today. Sometimes you can meet people and you can look them in the eye and you can give them a compliment. Yes. And most of the people, they will go. And it took a while for me to get to the point where you gave me a compliment, and then I kind of minimized the compliment because I didn't know who I was. But today, if you give me a compliment, I can raise my head and I can say thank you for giving me that compliment, because I believe that there is greatness in me today. Yes. So I would say that I am a man who's attached to his God-given brilliance and his greatness. Okay. I can say that. Yeah.
Okay. I get that. So how did you come to realize what your purpose was? Was it something that God told you, or how did you discover that?
again, that's something that's going to be ongoing because it seems to shift and change. At one increment of my life, when I didn't even know what the word purpose meant, it seemed like the experiences, the experiences that would come in my life would build me and show me what my God-given purpose would be. So to answer that question in the simplest form, I had no idea what my purpose was until I experienced the hardships, the joys, the freedoms from being, self-bound. So today, what I can say to answer that question, I can let you know that one of my purposes is, because there's many, one of
Okay.
my purposes is there are little boys who happen to have me as their therapist.
Mhm.
And it's not like I chose them. I don't go out seeking who I'm going to be a client for.
Okay.
And these little boys who happen to have me, they don't know my story. And so I come along and get to understand that I've been put in their life for a reason. And it's funny because what begins to happen is they'll say something like, I watched my mother get beat up. Oh, how can I do
Mhm.
that? I watched my mother get beat up. And that will show me what my purpose is. Or they will end up calling me, they'll go from one name to another name to Mr. Rodney to saying, I don't have any children. So to saying, I wish I had a father like you.
Uh-huh.
And to hear those words, I wish I had a father like you, when you haven't fathered any children, if
Right.
you haven't gotten in touch with what your purpose is in that particular moment, then, you're just totally oblivious. So
Right.
then I began to understand that a part of my purpose is to father children. Although I don't have any of my own, there is, and I didn't like write this on my script. It came from the mouths of babes.
Mhm.
And so again, it kind of reinvents the wheel and it kind of shapes me. And because purpose is deep. Purpose is nothing to be played with because
Right.
there's a
Right.
lot of stuff that comes in between me and my purpose, a lot of poison that comes in between in my purpose.
Mhm.
And so a part of purpose is experiencing the experience to the point where you get to understand this is what I was created for,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I would say
So
that's a part of it. There's so much more, but that's one part of it that's starting to stand out. That's one part of it.
right.
Um,
So would you
another
say
part of
that you're go ahead, I'm sorry. Another part of it?
another part of it is family. So let me be clear. I'm going to be just frank. Let me be clear. I come from a very large family. Like, we're so large, we're still large, and we're just growing. That's how I mean, my family is huge. I can't even begin to, and I am not even making that up. My family comes from Mississippi, and so we've migrated. Um, so I grew up in that family system,
Mhm.
and being a child, who was oppressed by
Mhm.
family. And
Right.
because I was oppressed by my family, meaning, let me make it clear. One thing in the Black family that you do not, especially once you're, if that church is behind you, you
Mhm.
do not have children out of wedlock. You don't do
Mhm.
that. You
Right.
you better not have no taboo of same sex anything. You better not
Right.
do that. And I'm talking
Mhm.
about the Black family.
Mhm.
And so having experienced some stuff with my family, there's just a lot of things that my family did not like about me. Okay.
Okay.
And one of my, and I hated my family. I hated my family so much that I moved out east, and I hated my mother. I hated my family. I hated all of them.
Mhm.
And one thing when I moved out here, and things began to happen in my life changed. My mother is my ace boon coon. She's my best friend.
Right.
My in these past 2 years, I've this is what I mean by purpose is always evolving.
Mhm.
God has shown me it's time for you to go back in the family, and it's time for you to now do some work with the family.
Mhm.
And my family has, it's like water. water will rise, right?
Yes.
And sometimes, no, I'm gonna use another analogy.
Okay.
It's like you take a pebble, you throw the pebble in the ocean, and you see the ripple effects.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was the pebble. God threw me in the family, and the ripple effect is now into the play. And now everyone in my family, they just can't get enough of Rodney.
Yes.
And
Yes. Yes.
my purpose now is like to take whatever it is God gave me, and now to give that back to my family, to
Yes.
give that back to them. So I'm starting to see that
I
become a
love
purpose too.
I love that. Family is important. You know, everybody's got a lot going on in their families.
Yeah.
However, you learn to love them for who they are and who they're not.
Yes.
But because they are a big part of you, that could, affect certain parts of your life if you don't get them straight. And
Right.
so I'm so glad to hear that that's a part of your purpose.
Yes.
That's great. So would you say that your target audience or the people that you're supposed to serve, and by fulfilling your purpose, would it be children? Would it be young adults? Like, is there any specific demographic audience that you think fulfilling
That's
your
amazing.
purpose really has a direct?
You're asking some really good questions. In the beginning, that's what I thought. I thought it was just the kids and their family. That's what I thought. I didn't know that it was going to be family until through DNA, I found out that I have a sister that live out here.
Mhm.
And then that became a part. And in my professional work as being a therapist, now I'm dealing with adults, not even children. Like I didn't see this coming.
Mhm.
Now I'm dealing with adults with mental health issues. Mental health is a huge thing right now.
Right.
I didn't even see that being a title attached to my name. So it seems like a target audience. I would say this, rather than call it a target audience, I would say whomever, this is how I view it. Relationships are assignments. Whomever I'm supposed to meet, we're going to meet.
Okay.
This interview is no accident. It was already ordained way before me and you even knew each other.
Right.
So whatever this is supposed to do, it's going to maximize God's plan for salvation. So instead of it being a target audience, whomever's supposed to meet me and whomever I'm supposed to meet, we're supposed to enter into that relationship so that we can maximize God's plan for love. Now, it doesn't matter what you're going through. It doesn't matter what I'm going through. One is going to teach and one is going to learn, one is going to learn, and one is going to teach. But the assignment, regardless of the target audience, it is going to move on. And that is a firm belief of mine.
Yes, yes. I like that. That makes sense. Wow, this is a lot. Do you think when there are times where you're like just so doing therapy, that could be mentally exhausting. It could be physically exhausting. Just talking to people in general, people that you run into, it could be exhausting sometimes on you because sometimes you take on whatever it is that you're hearing. What is the why that keeps you going, that drives you to move beyond your exhaustion or the fact that, you know what, I don't want to hear what anybody has to say today, but you kind of need that break, but you're like, nope, this is my purpose. Let me just push through it. What's your why? What drives you?
I try to remember what it felt like when I felt invisible. I try to remember what it felt like when I was talking and I could see it in the person's eyes that they were somewhere else. They were distant. They weren't in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I try to remember that I also need to be able to tell people up front, I have a boundary. And if you really want me to listen to you, or if you really want my undivided attention, then you're going to have to give me a moment and get back with you. Because if you don't, what's going to happen is my short attention span, it's going to lose its way. And I'm not going to be interested in anything that you have to say. So I kind of like have to do that with some people who don't respect that boundary.
Right.
And then, that's another great question. This is so funny. Even before coming on this interview, listen, I'm human. I am human. I am not superhuman. Even before coming on this interview, I was like, I really don't want to do this. And here's why. sometimes you think you need to be at a spiritual place to be able to come on and then, talk. Because this isn't like me writing down stuff. This is me just coming from whatever you ask me, it's just going to come organically, right?
Right.
And so I can tell you, I was like, being human, another thing that takes me off course. Sometimes I exhaust myself. I exhaust myself, with my own mental behavior and my own lapses. And then if I got to listen to other people, you're
whole
on
lot of
point
chatter.
today. Oh my gosh. And sometimes I'll pick up the phone. I'll be like, don't answer this because you already kind of know this person is loquacious. They're not going to stop. They're not going to even ask you how you're doing.
Right.
And you just got to, but what keeps me going, I just do like this. This is what I do. I just breathe in and just take it in. Like, this person must really need. And then I remember this. This is important. I remember this. There's something about your spirit, Rodney. And so you've just got to tune out. I do not want to hear what you got to say, or I wish you would shut up. You got to tune that out, because that happens. That really happens.
Yeah.
You got to tune that out. And then what begins to happen is when I tune that out and I'm now making myself available, even in my exhaustion, right? Because remember, I committed to do this work.
Right.
So if I say you can call me at any time, I got to be open and available to that. However, I'm human. And sometimes, like you said it great, I get paid to listen. I get paid to talk. But when I strip away the fact that I get paid to listen, I get paid to talk, that's not really what I get paid for. That's not what I really get paid for. What I really get paid for, and I'm talking about not just financially, now I'm talking about spiritually, I get paid to simply show up and let you know that regardless, because you don't get to see that part. Sometimes you may feel it.
Right.
Regardless of whatever it is, I'm going to stand in the gap with you right now, because right now you need an ear. And at the end is when the gratitude comes in, because what I do is I trade my exhaustion in for something that you poured into me by simply taking time out to share whatever it is you needed to share. So I end up being rewarded, on a causal level. And it really helps me to understand the effect of the ministry. I look at my job as a ministry.
Yes. It shows that you care.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that's what they need to know, that somebody else cares.
Yeah.
So yeah. That's good. Wow. You are something else. So let's see. What do you have any greatest challenge? I would say challenges that you may have faced when you're like, okay, I know that I have to do this. God is telling me to do this. This is in line with fulfilling my purpose. But this might be a little bit of some bumps in the road, some challenges that I might not really want to face. Like, have you experienced any challenges that kind of made you step back and second guess whether you really needed to do it or, was supposed to do it or not?
You are amazing me. I didn't even really want to follow through with this because of my own level of being human. And then you asked me a question, that I'm gonna open up. I don't talk about this with very, very, very few people. I'm gonna open up.
So
There is a call on my life. The way you asked it, it just made me prepared. I didn't even know this was coming. There is a call. This is my answer. There is a calling on my life, right? A calling. Now, when we hear that, what does that mean? And what does it have to do with your purpose? God has called me. I'm going to say preach. I'm going to say teach. And I've been running from the call for quite a long time. And there are so many reasons I can give you that I've been running from the call, but it isn't until there's a certain level of work that you have to do to bring forth a certain level of consciousness that's going to make you be real honest and clear with yourself. This isn't with other people. This is now between you, God, and what is it? So here you asking me this question. And the reality is I've been running away from the call, and I've been running away from the call, not because I don't think I can carry it out, because I know I can carry it out. You know, God has allowed me to have platforms and allowed me to do the work that I kind of do now to let me, to build me up with the spiritual principles and skill set that I need, right, to carry it out.
Right.
Based on trauma, past trauma. It's always that past stuff. Based on my fear of not being accepted. Based on, God, are you sure? Because, you know, I'm not going to be typical.
Right.
I'm not going to get up there quoting scriptures and there's some stuff that I may say to believers today that may go against their belief system because they're not really in connection with when the God in me touches the God in you, regardless of what setting I'm in, right? When the God in me touches the God in you, there is something powerful that happens that supersedes my belief system, supersedes it. It's a heart to heart. It's a connection. It's something that is going to bring on, and I am going to be enriched by the experience. I am afraid that that's going to happen. That I may slip up and curse or say something I'm not supposed to say. And so I need to be real with that, because my relationship with the way I understand God, it's extremely personal and sacred, but it's also very real. Like I'm a firm believer that God already knows what I think. So why go into a prayer with God and pretend like I'm this, when really I need to get real, raw, dirty, and messy with God so that God can reveal to me what it is, you know, that I need to do.
Right.
So I'm running from the call. That is it. And I deal with my spiritual advisor, my sponsor, and my sponsor has really imparted into me, you got to stop running. Like I've been invited to speak at churches. I've been invited to do this. And one year I did okay. I tried to, you know, use the Bible, use the scripture, but I went off that and just used my experience. And, you know, and in my experience, you're going to hear God in my experience.
Right. Absolutely.
And so it went well. But the next time I was invited, I was like, oh my, even I said, because, you know, you got to respect the house.
Right.
And
You gotta respect the house.
You got to respect, and see, I'm not tame. And so the prayer becomes, God, you know, and I know I'm not tame. God is tired of all that, because again, if the assignment is God-given, I'm going to go in respecting the house.
Right.
Because just like if I go to your house, I'm going to respect whatever your tradition is. So there's some kinks that I'm trying to work out as a man. It's like this in a nutshell. Well, God, I won't do it until I fix it, knowing that I can't fix it.
Right.
And God saying, no, just come on as you are.
Yeah.
I really do mean come as you are.
Yeah.
Because it is going to be me that is going to do the undoing, so that you can begin the process of unlearning right in front of the very people who might judge, stereotype, and moralize, but they're also going to be the same people who I'm sending you to, because they need to have whatever it is that I've imparted in you, okay? Right. And you need to have whatever it is that I've imparted in them, that I keep running. So that's one purpose that I have ran from.
Okay. Well, so what do you do to keep yourself encouraged or to get closer to not running? You got to slow down a little bit. Come to a walk instead of a run. What is it that you do, you know, to keep yourself kind of just going, knowing that, okay, I have to do this. This is my purpose. I got to fulfill it. Like every moment that I have on this earth, I need to make sure what I do lines up with fulfilling my purpose. What do you do?
I stay in connection with the people who have already walked the path and have had a similar experience. And I keep my ear open and I just remain teachable. And
Yeah.
and even this right here, like I didn't know you were going to ask me that. And I certainly, it's something I don't talk about. I normally tear up when I talk about it. I got through it, but
Mhm.
that's what I do. I kind of stick with the people because I don't have I don't have it in me. So my honest answer is I don't know what to do to slow down because I don't have when you're running, you're running. So I don't have it in me to stop and pause and say, okay, God, what is this going to look like? I don't, because fear keeps me
Mhm.
running. But when
Mhm.
I have these moments like this, it becomes okay. I here's more evidence.
Mhm.
So these moments become a path for me to walk, or like talking to my spiritual advisor. And lately, in the arena that I go to, God has been putting, check this out, this is hysterical to me. I am not lying to you. In the arena that I go to, and it's not church, but
Mhm.
God is bringing preachers,
Mhm.
and I'm getting front row seats in their lives.
Mhm.
And it is amazing because you could have told me. I could, and so, and it's sort of like, now that you brought that question, it's sort of like I'm meeting these preachers, and these preachers, and I'm the same. I don't go to them and act like I'm somebody different.
Right.
But
Right.
what I see in them is they're like, we're not impressed.
Mhm. They
We
want the real
understand.
you.
Yeah, we understand that you didn't been through. We're not impressed. Come on, sit down, have a seat at the table.
Yes.
Have a seat at the table, and just and as I'm listening, and I'm starting to reach out, like if I go through something, I would normally reach out to this person. But now I'm starting to reach out, one in particular, starting to reach out to this particular preacher. And my God, I'm starting to see it's something is going on.
Mhm.
It's no accident
Right.
that
Divine
I'm meeting.
connection. That's what that is.
It's no accident. So I would say that's my answer for that in this moment.
Be in the moment.
Yeah.
That encourages you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works. Listen, experience is the best teacher, right? That's what they
Mm.
say. So we always have to just enjoy, be present in every moment that we have, especially if we're doing what we know to do that lines up with fulfilling our purpose. We just need to show up and be who God said we are and get that out, fulfill your purpose and keep it moving. So
Mhm.
I got you. I like that. Um, let's see. This is such a good I feel like um let's see. So even I would say my last question. Um, so through the good times, through the bad times, what was your did you have a aha moment where you were like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do? Or did you have to do something over and over again to figure out, oh, this is what God wants me to do? Did you know it right away, or, you know, was it something that took time? Because for some people, they don't know what their purpose is and they're, trying to figure it out, doing different things. Some people, they automatically know it after, doing something a couple times. So how was it for you? Did you have a moment where you were like, oh, that's what it is?
Yes, I've had several moments, several aha moments, several epiphanies. Um, I'm trying to think of a way to say. Okay, so I'm sharing experience. And I don't know how transparent I can be, so I will. I'm extremely transparent, so I sometimes have to bridle my tongue. I don't know the particular audience, and that's another thing. That's another part of my purpose. Now I am transparent, but I want to be tasteful. I want to be
Yes.
tasteful. I
That's
don't want to
good.
shock people. Now, sometimes transparency is a gift because there are many people out there that could be listening, that could be going through something that I'm going through. And because
Absolutely.
I have the courage, purpose,
Hmm.
I have the courage to put a name, a voice, an
Right,
experience to it. I have the courage. I mean, and it's not that courage that says, I don't care what you think about me. No,
right,
it's
right.
God-given courage that says, look at where I came from and look at where I'm going and look at
Hmm.
who I'm carrying. It's that kind of courage. But I'll share this story. So this is purpose. So this let me know about my purpose in being a therapist.
Okay.
So I'm the product of rape. My mother was raped.
Mhm.
Recently, I found out, and this was another aha moment. Recently, listen, when you're the product of rape, there's a lot of stuff that's going on in the background that as a child, you don't even know that is going on. Like I
Mhm.
did not know why I hated my mother so much until
Mhm.
me and her had a conversation one day. And she told me about the rape. I had heard about it, but then she told me about it. But she
Mhm.
was also the mother that kept me from going to see my father, who was deceased. The guy I thought was my father, she kept me from going to his funeral.
Okay.
And so she was a very bitter, angry, nasty woman back then, right? And so she hated my grandmother, the lady who said, my son is your father, like all my years. I'm 54. So I just recently found out that this dude is really my father through DNA testing with my sister.
Mhm.
So I'm sitting there with my mother and I call her up, Epiphany, and I call her up and I'm like, I'm so excited. I'm so excited that I finally get to, although he's deceased, there's something about not having a connection to a father. Like I've
Mhm.
always felt like I've missed that. I've always felt like I've missed that. And so in the beginning, when I talked about a kid saying, that they wish that I could be their father, that kind of stuff would make me cry because I never had one. So how could a kid see qualities of me like that when I never
Right.
had one? And
Mhm.
so here now I get an opportunity to be joyful with my mother. I'm calling her up. I'm excited. This has been 2019. And then I hear my mother's response and she's like, oh, and I didn't hear my mother. And it wasn't see, this is why I knew that I was a great therapist, not just a therapist, but a great therapist.
Mhm.
Because when you hear the cry of the wounded, now here I'm joyful,
Right.
but I'm not taking into account she's never been to therapy. She wasn't pimping and prostituting. She
Mhm.
didn't turn to drugs. She's never gotten help
Mhm.
ever for dealing with this.
Mhm.
So here in 2019, I'm telling my mother who she was saying, that ain't him, that ain't him. The other one was him, that ain't him. Now I'm presenting to her through DNA, this is him. You can't deny that. See, there's that little boy in me too, right? Like
Mhm.
I'm almost like taking jabs at her on the side.
Right.
You were wrong. But then her response, it was low. And I was like, wow, I'm not hearing my mother.
Mhm.
And my purpose changed.
Wow.
I'm a therapist to everybody else. But now I can see my mother is still in the rape. Every time she looks at me, rape. This is some deep stuff.
Wow.
Now, I'm not even talking about my wound. I'm talking about my mama's wound.
Right.
Then the next call, I'm like, oh, I found this sister. And then one day she says to me in one of the calls, if he was alive and you got an opportunity to go and see him, would you build a relationship with him, knowing what he did to me? And I was like, yeah, I go and build a relationship with him. Like not even thinking about her. I'm talking about epiphany. I'm talking about now
Mhm.
I'm in an experience that's cultivating something. You
Right.
got two people who have been hating themselves for whatever reason. And now God is using this experience to
Yes.
outwit both of our self-hatred for
Mhm.
ourselves. Because I love my mother now.
Right.
And what I learned to do in that moment, this is how I really knew my purpose. It was evident. I pulled back and I said, let me just let my mother be the wounded rape victim. And let me just be the child or the man that
Mm.
just gives her that space to breathe.
Right.
And then later I was able to go back and say, Mama, you need to go and get some help. And that right there showed me, because charity begins where?
At home.
I
Yeah.
can go into all these other people's homes, and I'm talking about dealing with domestic violence, dealing with illnesses, dealing with rape, dealing with molestation, dealing with incest. I'm talking about today, and particularly now dealing with suicide, dealing with all this. And here in my own house.
Yeah.
So God aligned me and showed me what you're doing. It's real. And I'm going to use you in this. I'm going to use you. And my mother, because of that, see, when I was able to pull back and not yell, you need to go get some help, and say, Mama, with that soft, gentle tone.
Mm-hmm.
Because while I was being taught how to deal with rape victims, I never saw my mama as a rape victim. That's my mama.
Right.
But while I was being taught it, I was able to put the assignment with me and her and say, go get you some help.
Mm-hmm. And
So
she could
that was,
hear your love in
and
that
she,
as well.
yes. Yes.
Wow. That's powerful. That's crazy. Well, thank you, Rodney. I'll say to wrap this up, what would you say to someone who is thinking about going into the field of therapy, who might be scared for whatever reason, or someone who believes that, their calling is to be that voice, in their family or in a certain group, to really stand out and to be that encouragement, be the person that pushes them to, be better, to look at themselves, to really motivate others. What would you say to that person who just might be scared?
I would say be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. And when you're afraid, God, and I know that I'm afraid. And I know that with this fear, I'll run. So I need you to send me a miracle. Send me a shift in the way I think about it. Be honest with yourself. Be authentically real with you. No negotiations, no bargains. Be honest. I would say be open. You don't know everything. You don't.
Right.
If you're going to go around acting like you're the know-it-all, you're not going to be able to really reach. You have to be open. And with being open comes being teachable. That means you're always in the posture of being taught. So there's going to be unlearning and relearn. So be open. Be open to accept people. Be open to understand that you can't go in and change the atmosphere, but you can become a part of the atmosphere if you desire to bring. The spirit that you feed is a spirit that will grow. So be open to understand which spirit you're feeding. And then I would let them know to be willing. Be willing. There are days you're going to have to do the work. You can't be lazy. You got to be disciplined. Be willing. Be willing to go into the roach-infested neighborhoods. Be willing to go where crime is. Be willing to do all of that because you were honest and you were open. When you attach the willingness to it, you've already made a commitment that no matter what, and be willing to also go in the houses and high places, because what you'll find out through willingness, and this is what I've come to understand, I can go to the houses on Nob Hill. I can go to the lowest of the lows, and you will still be authentically who you are, bringing to the table what it is that you've been gifted to bring. And you're not focused on the environment. And instead of going in carrying your mess, MESS, when you're willing, AGE, age comes on at the end of mess. You will be carrying and fulfilling a message of hope and a promise of freedom, instead of going and carrying all that other stuff. So that's what I would say. Be honest, be open, and be willing.
All right. Y'all heard it from Mr. Rodney Washington. Be honest, be open, and be willing, and be teachable. You never know who you can really bless with your story, with your presence, with who you are. So be real every step of the way, be real. Rodney, I would like to thank you so much for taking out the time out of your schedule to be on this broadcast with us this afternoon. So I thank you very much, and I am grateful. To everyone, you've heard this broadcast, and if you'd like to hear more, the first Monday of every month, please tune in to Portia Wheatley's Facebook page. Also go to our YouTube channel and subscribe, like, and share both. Share this Facebook message, share every Monday, every first Monday of the month. Share it, one message a month. I love you all. God bless you. Mom?
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rodney. Look, I was having a good fit over here, but this is not about me today. This is not about me today. So to our audience, just as Missy has said, Annie has said, share, like, please share. This was incredible.
Yes.
Definitely needed and necessary. Thank you again, Rodney. I appreciate it. God bless you until we see you again the next Monday, first Monday in the month. Bye-bye.
Bye.